If you're a Christian man, you know the battle for purity isn't just a struggle. It is a spiritual war that is taking place. Pornography is one of the greatest challenges that Christian men face today. And it's not just hurting your mind. It's hurting your soul. It's hurting your heart. It's hurting your relationships. And it's hurting your walk with God. Gentlemen, today we're diving deep into the top 5 reasons why so many Christian men get stuck in this cycle with porn and masturbation. But more importantly, how you can break free once and for all. Guys, welcome to the Rebuilt Man podcast. My name is Coach Frank Rich, founder of Rebuilt Recovery and host of today's show. And if you're looking for a community of men out there, if you're struggling with finding a place to have the necessary conversations, to get the tools, to get to the resources, I want to invite you to our free school community called The Rebuilt Man. If you click the link down there below or visit school.com, SKOOL.com/The Rebuilt Man, you can join myself and hundreds of men all across the world aiming to become better men by quitting porn and rebuilding their lives. You know, Romans 12:2 tells us to not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may test and approve what God's will is, his good and pleasing, perfect will for you. Guys, it's important to understand the severity of today's conversation. Different points in research will tell us that about 70% of Christian men actively within the church struggle with pornography addiction. We know that the leadership within the church is struggling just as much, about 56% of pastors. So today's message is not one of guilt, it is not one of shame, but it is one of hope and inspiration and insights. Because I know what quitting porn did to me. I know what getting on the other side of a pornography addiction opened up in my life, and I want the same for you. We've helped thousands of Christian men claim back control of their lives with following the steps that we teach inside of our community. Guys, but there's 5 reasons. I spent a lot of time on calls. I spent a lot of time researching this topic. 5 reasons why so many men, so many Christian men stay stuck. And reason number 1 is the shame and guilt cycle. Many Christian men struggle with intense shame and guilt tied to their faith because they feel let down. They feel like they're letting God down. They're letting themselves down. This cycle makes men feel unworthy and oftentimes distant from God, which drives us into deeper and further isolation and secrecy. And once we're at the bottom of the pit there, now we've created this cycle pattern where because we feel disconnected from God, we need to fill that empty hole inside of our heart, and porn is the only thing we know how to do it. And then every time we act out, it makes us feel even further away from him. Guys, this is why we need grace. We need forgiveness. We need to break free of the condemnation that we're holding on ourselves. And a lot of times this comes by having conversations. You feel guilt and you feel shame because there's a secret in your life that nobody knows about. Find the person that you can trust. Find the person that can create a safe space for you and begin to address this with truth and honesty. Reason number 2 why so many men stay stuck in this cycle, so many Christian men, is a misunderstanding of sexuality and a misinterpretation of lust. As we know in Christian circles, there's a tendency to suppress these conversations around our sexuality, to suppress these conversations around our innate desires as men. This can lead to a confusion and lack of healthy outlets and resources and education on this topic. For the young Christian men growing up in the church, they're told that they're bad if they think about sex. But then they're stimulated with pornography, so they go over here to learn about it. But then they know it's bad, and then they get caught up in the shame cycle. If we could understand that sexuality is a part of human nature, and it's a part of our walk with God. Now, one thing we encourage our men to begin to define in their lives, once they begin to work with us, is this line that men cannot cross between appreciating and acknowledging a woman's beauty and then not participating in it. Men, you're wired to be visually stimulated to a woman's beauty. So to think that every time you have a thought that a woman is beautiful, you're lusting after her, is setting you up for this guilt and shame cycle that we addressed in reason Number one, I want you to be confident and to be able to walk out healthily in appreciating beauty in the world. There's something divine to it. It's a part of our lives. But we got to have open, healthy discussions around sexuality and a balanced view of attraction, desire, and lust. Because without those, it can lead us into reason number 3 why so many Christian men struggle, and it's the isolation and lack of real accountability. Due to the stigma of this conversation, so many Christian men don't feel comfortable opening up about their struggles, and it leads them to secrecy. Isolation keeps men from seeking help, creating an environment where the addiction now grows and thrives. We all remember what happened in 2020 when the world was shut down, the world was locked down. We were told to stay alone. We were told to stay isolated. Depression rates, mental health rates, addiction rates all shot through the roof. Your porn addiction is an intimacy disorder to some degree. And trying to combat this alone and isolated is going to keep you stuck in the cycle. This is why we encourage men to join our community, to get the support, to get the help they needed. You can find it at school.com, SKOOL.com/the rebuilt man, to get a group of like-minded men that will support you in your walk and in your journey. But it's not just about a community. It's not just about the lacking of accountability. Because reason number 4 why so many Christian men struggle is they put an overemphasis on discipline and willpower alone. A common belief, and you may be thinking this right now, is that in order to overcome this addiction, I need sheer willpower. This leads men to relying on themselves and not leaning into God. This leads men to say, I can do this on my own and I don't need the help of a community. Without addressing the root causes and creating an environment of support, accountability, and encouragement, willpower alone will fail. It is a limited resource. You need a holistic approach, focusing on your beliefs, on your mindset, on your faith, on your therapy, on unpacking the root causes of this issue, while building more self-control and discipline and a fruit of the Spirit. But if we try to rely on willpower alone, we will find ourselves stuck in continuing down this cycle. And number 5, one of the biggest reasons why I see so many men struggle is because they're lacking a deeper sense of meaning and purpose and vision within their life. Without a sense of direction of where you're going in the world, it's very easy to find yourself escaping and coping with temporary fixes like pornography. Without a clear vision for the life that you can live, it's easy to fall back into these old patterns and habits. Without knowing that what we're doing is moving us closer towards a delayed outcome in our life, we seek instant, short-term gratification. Spend some time in prayer. Spend some time fasting. Ask God who He's called you to be. And set your life up in a way to where that's where you're working towards becoming every single day. Guys, 5 reasons why so many men struggle. So many Christian men I've seen stuck in this cycle due to the shame and guilt, due to the misunderstanding and misdefining of lust and their sexuality, due to staying alone and staying isolated and not getting support and accountability they need, through relying solely on discipline and willpower alone, and lacking a deeper sense of meaning and purpose in their life. Now, the first step you can take here today is join us inside of our school community. Get around the group of men that are going to support you, that want to see you win. They're going to hold you accountable to becoming the man that God has called you to be. Paint a clear vision for your life. We have an assignment that'll walk you through that in our community. But be open and be honest with yourself, brother. And trust that in time and in putting in the necessary work, not only will you break this addiction, but you will go on to live the life that God has put you here to live. Coach Frank Richard, Rebuilt Man, 5 reasons why Christian men struggle and what to do to get out of it. Hope that this was helpful. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe, join the school community, school.com/the rebuilt man. But we love you guys. We'll see you in the next one.